Welcome back to my YouTube channel, NiaOlivia, and I'm so glad you're here. If you'd like to connect with me on some of my other social media platforms, my Instagram is NiaOlivia and my Snapchat is NiaOlivia21. So, today's topic is slightly controversial but very interesting. I'm going to discuss dating people with kids. So if you'd like to hear more, please stay tuned. So the first thing you have to figure out is, are you a person who wants to date people with kids or not? And it's all about what you want and what you feel like you can be open to. Because to be honest, I know when I was younger or back in the day, I really felt like I don't want to date anyone with a child because I felt like it was going to take away from me getting to know that person. However, I have changed as I've gotten older in life, and I don't necessarily look at it like that. So I think that you kind of have to just decide, is this something that's for me or is it not for me? And then as you're deciding that, you have to think about the fact that you're not necessarily going to be number one in this person's life. Because when you have a child, whether you're a man or a woman, your child should come first. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think the whole thing has to do with the person who you're talking to. Are they able to balance in between having kids? Is it always a thing of, oh, okay, you guys have a date on Friday night at 7 o'clock. And they're calling you at 6:30 oh, something just happened with my child. I got to hurry up and leave. Now, if it's an emergency, okay, I completely understand because, again, the kids come first. That sometimes they're going to have some conflicting things that go on. You all might have a date that's scheduled and they may call you and say, oh, hey, my child is sick or the babysitter didn't come through. That's understandable. However, if it gets to the point where this is something that's happening frequently, then I feel like you need to have a conversation with that person and figure out if they're at the point in their life where they can actually have a healthy relationship with someone and be an active parent. And that's really important. You've got to have that conversation with them because it's definitely something that is doable if you meet someone that's able to have balance. Now, one of the things that you should think about is when you should meet a person's child. Now, I feel like if you're just dating someone, it's not necessary for you to meet their child. I really feel like you don't want to be coming in and out of a child's life. So until you all are in that official relationship, then it's not really necessary. However, once you're in an official relationship with someone, you should be meeting their child. I know people who dated someone for a year, 2 years at a time and never met their kids. That's not a real relationship, okay? If you don't know their child, you don't really know them. So just make sure that you don't let that drag out for too long. The next thing I want to talk about is when you're actually meeting someone's child. So I think that we all form expectations in our head. I wish when I meet little Sarah, Johnny, that, it's just this great relationship and it's this hee-hee-ha and yada yada and they're respecting me the way they should and everything. It's not going to necessarily be how you've envisioned it in your head. The first thing that you need to think about is that this child is coming away from their parents having possibly been together. And now they're meeting another individual. So it's going to take them some time to kind of warm up to you. And you don't need to take that personally. The other thing is children are very perceptive, okay? That means that if you are being fake, if you are pretending and putting on because you want this man or this woman to think that you're, ooh, I can have such a great relationship with your kid. No, it's not going to work. At some point, there's going to be a crash because kids, they know, they can tell when they're talking to you. They can tell the way you look at them. They can tell the way you move around them. They can just feel the vibe off of you. They can tell when you ask them a question because you're really interested or when you're just making up some kind of random conversation. And if you really don't have anything specific to say to the child, then I feel like wait until it's organic. Don't force yourself to just say things to their child. It will come naturally when you're actually around the child and spending time with them. The other thing is, yes, you want to build a good rapport with the child, but you're not trying to be their best friend. Remember, you still need to be an authoritative figure for that child. If you enjoyed this video so far, please go ahead and hit that like button. I would truly appreciate it. One of the things that you really, and when I say really, I mean really need to focus in on, is what type of relationship does this person have with their child's other parent? I think it's so important to watch how they talk to that person, what type of words they use with that person, because if you see them disrespecting their child's other parent, calling that person out of their name, then you need to be thinking that this could possibly happen if you had a kid with this person. Sometimes people will always tell you, oh, you know, my baby daddy does this so bad. He doesn't take care of this and that. Or my baby mama is lazy. She has an attitude. She's always hounding me. Hold on, because you don't even know what has really happened between those two people. You're only listening to one side of the story. And me personally, I'm not comfortable when a man talks negatively about their child's mother. Like, that's just not a good situation. Because if you're talking about her, if you're calling her out of her name, then how are you going to get when you and I have an argument? How people treat people is pretty much how they treat everybody. On the other hand, there are people that are really facing difficult challenges when having to interact with their child's parent. And I feel like in those situations, when you're dating a person like that, you just really need to be supportive. One situation I want to make sure I address is if you meet someone that has a child, and for instance, they tell you that their child's mother is living in their home. Not because they're together, but because they want to make sure that she's straight. You know, she doesn't have a job right now. She's been going through tough times. Her family doesn't support her. I'm the only one that's there for her. Sis, run in the other direction. There is no reason for you to date someone that is living with the parent of their child. Vice versa for a man. If you meet a woman and her child's father is staying there because she's just helping him out, then you need to keep it pushing, because yes, they might be helping each other out in a whole bunch of different ways. And that's not for you to try to figure out, well, oh, what's really going on. Just walk away. Like, it's not even worth it. That person is not at the point in their life where they are actually able to date someone. Because are they going to bring you over to the house to hang out with their child's mother there or child's father there? No. And their kid is still having that same frame of reference of having mommy and daddy in the household. So it's a no. Make sure that you have a conversation with the person you're dating in terms of what are their expectations of your involvement with their child, as well as your own expectations. We have situations out here now where you meet someone and they have a kid, y'all are dating, and you all become serious. And now you end up becoming some type of babysitter for them. I've had this situation happen myself when I was in a long-term relationship with someone that had a child. They would get their child, and then I would be the one who would actually be doing the activities with the child, spending time with them. And then they would be going out in Atlanta, having fun at night, and I'm there with their child. You're not a babysitter. And so you really have to make sure that you have those discussions up front so that they won't even think that that's something that's okay. If someone has a child and they're getting their child during certain times, then they need to be actively doing something with their child. Not things that you have planned, things that they have planned to do with their child. You have to allow them to be a parent. And remember, you're not a babysitter for that person. Another aspect that you need to think about when dating someone with a child is what will happen when holidays and birthdays come up. And I think it's really important for you to have that conversation with them once you all get to that stage where you're actually in a relationship. I've been in a long-term relationship with someone that had a kid, and this was when I was younger, and I didn't know a lot about it. However, that person excluded me initially from holidays and from birthdays. And I didn't really speak up a lot about it. It was just like, oh, you know, this is what we do. We do this together, including the other parent on Christmases and birthdays and everything like that. And I would just kind of be like at the house by myself. You really have to advocate for yourself. That's not a healthy relationship. If you've made it to the point where you all are in a relationship, then that other person is going to have to figure out how you're going to be a part of those different events. You need to be a part of that situation. And if they are not able to make you a part of the situation, then they're not ready to really be in a relationship with someone else. One really important conversation you need to have with someone if you're dating a person with kids is the conversation about discipline. How do they typically discipline their children? What are their expectations in terms of how you should discipline their child if necessary? This conversation is especially important if you already have children of your own and they already have children of their own, because you all are kind of bringing everything together, and it's important that you all are on the same page. So before going into that serious relationship, when you're dating the person, have the conversation about discipline. One of the things that you have to consider, not even one of the things, one of the main things, when you meet someone that has a child, is what type of relationship do they already have in place with their child? Personally, if I meet a man and he doesn't have a strong relationship with his children, I'm not going to date that person. This one thing if the person's child lives out of state and they're only able to like get them in the summer times or certain times, but you can still tell if a person has a strong relationship with their child. How often have you seen them say, hey, I need to talk to my kid right now, or bringing them up in conversation? It is very important that if you're dating someone with a kid, that they are an actual parent to that child, and not just a parent, but an active parent. I know from my own experience, my own father is married to someone and he's not been active in my life. And so I really don't understand how he can be married to a woman who feels like it's okay for him not to actually have an active relationship with his children. So that is one of the most important things that you need to consider when dating someone with a child. Ultimately, it is a big commitment to date someone that has a child. And you really have to make sure that this is something that you want, because you are not only impacting the person that you're dating, but you're also impacting their child. And one thing to remember is that dating someone with a kid can be an amazing thing, but there are also a lot of challenges that you may face. The most important thing is that you think about what makes you the most comfortable, and make sure that when you're with them, you're really committed to that relationship and to having a relationship with their child. Thank you so much for watching this video. I truly appreciate it. If you like the video, please make sure you hit that like button and also subscribe. That way you'll know whenever I post other videos. And again, you can reach out to me on social media on Instagram at NiaOlivia now, and my Snapchat is NiaOlivia21. Have a blessed day.